to Goodness and Gracious. I'm Chrissy.
I'm Renee. I guess. I don't know. Who am I today?
You are. I can tell.
Okay.
You. I can tell.
Okay.
I'm looking at. I can tell you, Renee.
Okay.
Tell it.
Welcome back.
A lot of our listeners probably don't
I have no clue what.
I know what that is.
Welcome
I
back.
do.
Yeah, I do
know
too.
what it
We used
is.
to watch it.
I don't know if I ever watched it, but
Um,
I a little bit. Watched
Yeah.
A little bit. But
okay.
it's
Welcome back, Cotter.
Yep. Welcome back, Otter.
I was trying to think of the one goofy dude, but I can't remember his name.
I don't know.
I
I don't know. John Travolta was in that,
Yes.
wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But he wasn't the goofy dude.
No.
No. He was the cool dude.
He was the cool. Yeah, I can imagine.
I don't know.
I can't imagine John Travolta any other way.
I know,
than
right?
The cool
Yeah.
dude. Guess what?
What?
It's the end of April.
Yeah,
You
May's
believe
this week.
that?
No, that's crazy. You know what that means? Camp's not far.
No,
We're not even close to
I
it.
know. I know.
Theme reveal tomorrow.
Yeah,
I
theme
hear
reveal.
on
Yep.
Monday. I hear.
Pretty exciting. Pretty
Yeah.
exciting.
Not that we
already
I
know,
know.
what it is now.
I wasn't gonna let them know
Don't
that.
try to pull it out of us because we're not going to tell you. Got many things going on here at the church.
We wear many hats.
Yes, we do. We have some.
We just
new-
forgot ours today.
Yeah. New families.
Yes, it's very, very
Yes,
exciting.
and more youth. Our youth group is
Members that we just took in again
just-
today.
Yep,
Mhm.
members just took in today,
Yes.
and all like
Well,
different
today's
age groups.
Sunday. This is Sunday, April 28th. We're
Yep.
recording. So that way, when you listen to it, you know, we didn't take in members Monday, Tuesday, whatever day this is going
Right, and yeah, we just don't do that during the week, you know.
Right.
We reserve that for Sunday.
So on Sunday, we took in new members.
Yes, we did.
Maybe we need to start rephrasing that. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I'm hoping that they get that we're here on
I
Sunday.
would
and
think
we do
so.
that. So, for anyone that doesn't know, we kind of wanted to let you know some of the things that we do here and there. We do have a discipleship program here at Sand Hill Free Will Baptist Church on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. And that's for kids that are in kindergarten through 6th grade. We're thinking that it's 6th grade because we don't really have anybody that old yet. So that's where
For
we're
now.
starting. Yeah, that's where we're starting. And we also have junior church every other Sunday evening for that same age group. So we do have some things that are going on for kids. And the youth group is growing and it's so fantastic to watch.
It's great.
And
Oh,
also, guess
I
that's
stole
okay.
it, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. My thunder. I wasn't going to say it. I was going to
I'm
let you.
sorry.
Guess what else is coming up, Renee?
See.
Oh my goodness. I didn't even think of that. And registration ends.
May 1st, which
May
is
1st.
Wednesday.
Mhm.
Our first big Saturday of working on campus.
I know,
is
it's pretty
coming.
exciting.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Scared at the same time.
I know. And I was looking at the schedule and I'm like, only working 9 to noon?
Well, that's what Josh says, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, that is what we did last year, but
Yeah.
you got to realize we used this, we had a tornado the year before, so we used some of those same things.
Right. So we didn't have to work
So
as much. Yeah.
It's a possibility we might have to work a little bit longer, but
That's why I was talking to
There we are.
Jamie's like, hey, do you want to write the curriculum for, the daycare? And I'm like, I didn't write the daycare curriculum last year. She's like, yeah, you did. I'm like, no, I don't. I didn't. And
you used it from
we used the
from the tornado year?
yeah, from the tornado year. So
You want to explain tornado year?
we're known as the tornado camp.
Yes, we are.
But we had a tornado 2 years ago.
We did.
We had to leave camp early. First time
Yeah.
anything like that's ever happened. Well, we've had tornadoes.
There was no electricity, no
we
nothing.
couldn't
So
do anything,
it was
so.
bad. But everybody was safe.
Everybody,
There-
yep.
yeah.
Yep, God was good. He just
Split the
parted that.
tornado.
Yeah, part of
Just
that.
like you parted the Red Sea.
Yep, part of that tornado right up.
Mhm.
So the registration ends the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And then the dates of the camp are June 9th through the 14th. Do I have that right?
Yes.
9th through the 14th. Okay. And the NOYC is a great opportunity for kids and adults to really dive deep into God's word. It's a week long and it's just, it's a really good time. You can learn what he has for you, build and strengthen your relationships. Easy for me to say. Your relationship with Jesus, all the while you're having fun, fellowshipping with old friends and making new friends. it's just a really good
Yep,
time.
it is.
And maybe we'll have more to come on that at a later podcast. But we just kind of want to plug in some of the things that we're doing here.
We'll have guests on that one.
We keep saying we're gonna have guests, and we're just like, we don't really have any friends, so
You put me down for I was asking, so I thought
we may have some. If we can convince anybody to come and sit with us,
we might.
but-
I don't know. We'll see.
So it kind of seems that the title of this episode is Moms in Ministry. And it may seem like we're kind of jumping the gun on Mother's Day, but really we're just setting the stage for our actual Mother's Day episode. And I think that celebrating moms is a very good thing. And at the same time, it has become very commercialized, just like everything else. But and even within the church, it's become that. It seems that moms are not celebrated the way God intended them to be celebrated. If the church does not celebrate the God intended role for mothers and fathers, grandmothers and grandfathers, who's going to do that? Who's going to set the stage? Who's going to be the example, like Pastor said this morning? And since ministry is something that every child of God is called to, and your particular ministry or ministries are assigned by God and not by anybody else, really, we wanted to get a glimpse inside of the lives, of some moms that we know are in the thick of many things.
I don't see anybody here.
What do you say? How are you doing? This is how our friends treat us. Just ditch us. Anyways, sometimes just trying to find balance is a real tug of war.
No kidding.
And we are hoping that some testimonies from some moms in ministry will be a blessing and an encouragement to some other moms that may be discouraged, or maybe not even discouraged, but looking for some ideas that would help them implement some new strategies in their lives. We really didn't think that we were going to have people here today. So I don't want anybody to be like,
They're crazy.
yeah, those people are crazy. So
We asked and they didn't want to be.
Yep,
So it's
we
fine.
asked.
It'll be
and
all right.
Yep. So you get us.
We're in ministry, so it'll work
and
out.
We're moms.
Yes.
Well, being a mom is a ministry in and of
Correct.
itself. And God has designed women to be able to do some pretty amazing things. And whether you are mothering children that you gave birth to, or ones that were given to you by God from someone else that birthed them, we women are unique. And to lay a foundation for motherhood and really the uniqueness of moms, I'd like to start with some truths straight out of the Word of God. Goodness. So I remember as a young mom, I wasn't saved during any of my pregnancies, any of the births of my children. I remember, though, the pain and uncertainty that came with pregnancy and the whole birth process. And I also remember that right after that baby was laid in my arms, all 3 times, I completely forgot all the pain that occurred to get to that precious gift, into my arms. I forgot totally about all that pain. I even had appendicitis and an appendectomy during my first pregnancy. CJ was the C-section. And I was in some pain, and I was like, I know this is my first baby, but I don't think this is labor. I really don't. It was so bad. It was so horrible. And so they run a lot of tests, and they come to find out that they were going to take my appendix because they thought that's what it was. And after doing tests on it, they found that, yeah, that's exactly what it was. But, so pretty rough way to go.
Yeah.
Right or go.
Right.
Ray, how about you? Do you remember all, that kind of pain, amnesia once they laid that beautiful baby in your arms?
Well, I kind of have a different story because they really didn't lay Josh in my arms. Rachel, they kind of did, but Josh, it was a very, very terrible.
Yeah, it was a terrible experience. Terrible.
But I had somebody ask me. I went in like 6:00 on a Monday morning They'd put me on Pitocin, make me go through all that all day long. I wasn't progressing. They'd take me off of it, let me sleep, let me get up the next morning, shower, blah, 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 and do it all over again. Yeah. And then I was finally in labor like Tuesday evening, and he wasn't born till like Wednesday morning. And he had some things wrong with him, whatever. And basically I didn't even get to hold him or whatever. But I had someone ask me, because my labor and delivery was so not fun. They asked me, said, if you had to do it all over again, would you do it? And I said, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
There's, yes. So,
and that's what separates us
yes.
from the men.
Yes. Yeah. Because they wouldn't have lasted
exactly.
the first hour of labor.
Yes. Well, and I'm sure that you did. I find it so strange that once I had that baby, the world and all the pain that came before just melted away. Mm-hmm. I had forgotten everything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got saved and started reading and studying God's word, because that's what you're supposed to do when you get saved. You're supposed to read and study God's word, just putting that plug in there, that I found that the easily forgotten pain was part of God's plan. So I'm going to let Renee read a scripture from John 16.
John 16:21, a woman, when she is in travail, hath sorrow, because her hour is come. But as soon as she is delivered of the child, she remembereth no more the anguish for the joy that a man is born. I've sitting around you too long.
Yeah.
For the joy that a man is born into the world.
Okay. So that's it right there. Mm-hmm. The pain of childbirth comes due to the fall of man back in Genesis. So we were told that this was going to happen. But it is just like God to make a way for us to be able to see the blessing that comes out of the pain. And not just see the blessing that could only come from going through the pain, but fall head over heels in love with this precious gift and all that is required of you as a mom. Now, let's face it. Who would have had more than one child without this wonderful provision from God? Like, honestly, if he had made it that way, it would be a sad, sad world, because procreation wouldn't be a thing. It'd be like, no, not having any more of those. And this is not something that God only gave to moms that go through childbirth. This is something that I believe he gives to all women. There is a pain that comes from mothering children that were brought into this world by another woman. But I know God has given them a similar sense of forgetfulness when it comes to that pain. And I know this because I have a couple daughters-in-law and other young women, daughter age and granddaughter age, that God has given to me to love. And that love that I have for them and the sense of protection and the longing to nurture them comes from God. So we're not just talking about women who actually birth children. We're talking about women in general, that motherly instinct that's been instilled in us. And that's exactly what Pastor was talking about this morning in the message.
Go listen to it.
Go listen to it. So in God's creation of humans, but women in particular, he designed us as a whole with some fascinating traits. But I can tell you with certainty that the only way to be able to live out motherhood properly, or anything really, is to do it from a saved position. Like I said, I had all three of my kids before I was saved. And although I was not perfect, I loved them better than anything. And I really thought that there was no improving on that until I got saved. When you surrender everything to Jesus and ask him to forgive you and take over your life, things change. Everything changes. It's not something that you can describe to someone that is not saved, and it is not something that you can describe to someone that was saved before they had children. I just think that it's unique and beautiful and just what I was missing. And that is Jesus. So I can't explain. You were saved when you had your kids. So it's very hard to describe to you where my love lacked until I met Jesus. And then, it's just not something that I can describe. So we kind of just wanted to give you a glimpse of what goes on in our lives when it comes to ministry. Yeah. We
This
kind of
morning was very chaotic.
yeah.
Oh, you're like, how are you? I'm like, all right, just all right. Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Let me just tell you.
it's all right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Ministry gets crazy. And we,
Yeah.
honestly, we kind of wanted to talk. Don't be offended that I said that.
No
I'm going
problem.
to say this. We kind of wanted to talk to some older moms, and we wanted to talk to some younger moms. And I kind of feel like God just put his hand up and said, you're the older mom these days. You guys are in your 50s. And
Yeah, it's all right.
it is what it is.
I try not to think about it, but yes, I understand.
Yeah. So we are still moms, but our role as mom has changed, and we have moved to grandmoms in ministry. For me, and I know for you, Renee, as well, ministry has changed because ministry within our church has changed over the years. Renee and I are a part of some of the same ministries and some different ones. But even though we are a part of some of the same ministries, we approach them differently sometimes. And so I guess I just wanted to talk about how we approach these different things. First of all, home. Like this is, home is our first ministry field.
Right.
When it comes to when our kids are younger, we're moms. And then as they age, then we become grandmoms. And, the ministry has changed. But we're also wives.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a different approach on things because you are a pastor's wife and have been since your kids were smaller.
Right.
So, I mean, how is the stress of that?
Put me on the spot.
I know.
It's good times and bad times. I mean, it's a learning process. I was a preacher's kid, which is different than being a pastor's wife.
Right.
But there's a few similarities or whatever, but it's not always been easy. I mean, there's been times me and the kids would be at home because Gary's off doing, the stuff he's supposed to be doing.
Right.
And not to dog my husband whatsoever, but he was one that was like, when he even announced his calling to preach, basically he was full force, head in, all in. It didn't matter about me and the kids. It was just all in for Jesus. And I understand his point, but at the same time, he was neglecting, and it took us a few years to kind of get past all that and me to, say, Gary, listen, this. And, you only got your kids home once, when they're little. That's the bad thing is you can't go back and redo things or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a learning process for all of us. It was a learning process for the kids.
Yeah.
But, you hear a lot of the bad stories of, the pastor and his wives in not his wives, the pastor and his wife and the kids. That sounds really bad. They're always, put out there on the spot. Everybody's watching you, whatever. I don't really feel like we had that a lot. And you always had them, your kids had to be this way and your kids had to, and the wife had to do this. And I don't really feel like we had that.
That's good.
I guess I don't really see it. I mean, I know people watched us, but I don't feel like we were, unless they talked about us behind their back. Mm-hmm. I don't think we really had that.
Yeah.
So it's just a learning process and a growing process. And you have to realize it is not just your husband's ministry. And I think that's where we all had to grow into. Right. He had to learn that, his ministry is also with his wife and kids at home. And we had to learn that we also are part of his ministry, and I think that's what helped all of us is we would come to the church and we started helping him and working in the ministry with him. I think that made a big, huge difference.
Yeah, that's the way I believe that's the way it should be. I mean, they're not everything that everyone, not everything that the pastor does are you going to be able to be a part of, but everything that you can be a part of, I think that you should be a part of. Mm-hmm. I think that that's going to solidify and produce growth as Christians in your kids.
Well, I mean, I think it's playing out in my kids, you
Yeah,
know,
I agree.
where they're, you know, so much in ministry or whatever. And it's because we got them involved at a young age. I
Yes,
think so.
I agree 100%. And they lived a life, you know, right along. I mean, we've been around for a long time, but we came along a little bit later as they've gotten he wasn't pastor for very long
No,
when we
I don't
first
think
started
so.
coming into the church. So
I think in May it's going to be 19 years this year.
Yeah.
May's this week.
yeah, it is. May is this week.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I think May is going to be 19 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
we
Didn't you start coming 19 years ago, like in October or something?
yeah.
Oh, so yeah, he wasn't pastor.
No, he was like pastor for 6 months, I
Wow.
think, when we
Okay.
first started coming. And it was a little after that before Tom became a deacon, but you're right. It's how you, like, we came in and we started working and we started staying and we started, you know, getting involved in things. So really laying that foundation for what the church is today. And then you can look back and you can say, well, maybe we didn't do this right. Maybe we didn't do that right. You know, we didn't set a good example here, but no one's ever going to do that perfect.
No.
And,
Even now.
I know. And then you were just and I like to think that we were helping, you know, lay that foundation for where God would take the church, you know, right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then even more in the future. So you live and you learn,
Right.
you pick yourself up,
Mm-hmm.
you do better the next time or whatever.
Well,
And-
to be honest, I mean, there was a lot of people that told Gary, like, basically, you know, you're not even preaching material and you're not even pastor material because your wife isn't in order. And intimately, they were correct in some aspects, but there are, you know, I'm thinking, you know, you don't really know what you're talking about. But
Yeah.
in some ways, I understand where they were coming from because I wasn't what I really should have been back then. You know, God had to chisel away at that
yeah.
ugliness into what I am now. But
But that played out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That played out. So if Gary would have told God no in what he knew that God was calling him to be simply because he was waiting for you to get in line, honestly, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I don't think that that's the correct way to look at
Right,
it either. So we
right.
just need to love. If we know that someone's being called to preach, and we notice that the wife or the family is not in line, then we should just be gathering around and loving and helping.
praying.
Yep, and helping to build that
Right.
family up so they can be what God's calling them to be.
Mm-hmm.
So first ministry field is home, and I think more now than ever that is the case. You know what I'm saying? The case that times just aren't the same.
No.
They're just not the same. So we have that, and then we have many other ministries that go on in the church. Where I'm just going to list some, and then we can talk about them. Okay, so we have OCC. I'll let Renee talk about that because that's more of her baby. Sunday school, discipleship, doc, podcast, LifeWise, NOIC, all of these things. How do you balance? We were talking about, because you talked about Gary, how he, you know, he was all in and there was some neglecting that was done there. But that's just finding balance.
Right.
You know, so how do
Right now, we're still trying to find balance.
Yeah.
And we have no kids at all.
it's going to be
It's just because he works full time.
Yeah.
When he's a bivocational pastor, it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Right.
You know,
But for you, how do you singly, you know, balance your time? Is there enough time for you because you're involved in every single one of those things that I listed. How do you find the time to do that? You don't know, do you?
don't, by the grace of God.
Yeah.
One day at a, I mean, I have to take it one day at a time. If I sit and I say, you know, just like I was talking to you a while ago, if I sit and I say, okay, tomorrow I've got this. Well, Tuesday I've got this. I would just like want to go bang my head against the wall and just go crazy. So it's basically, I have to take it one day at a time. You know, tomorrow I've got a full day. I've got this, and this. Okay, that's good. You know, and then we'll look and see what Tuesday's got.
Right.
I'm not saying I don't plan ahead because I do plan ahead. You know what I'm saying? But I tell you the honest truth. Right now is a really, really fun time because it's camp time.
Mm-hmm.
And I do a lot of cricketing and stuff for camp. I did get all the bags done, by the way.
you?
Yes.
Good.
So I was very excited about that. But I feel like just like that right there, that was a huge task for camp that I did.
Yeah.
And when I got done, I was just like, Thank you, Lord. I mean, I enjoyed it so much. And now I'm making these signs for the golf scramble.
Yeah.
It's not an easy task. I can tell you right now, I was getting very, very irritated in
If it's not easy for you, it's not easy because you are the cricketing master.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
it's big signs for the golf and sponsorship holes is what it is, you know. And so you've got to, not these people care about it or whatever, but you got to take and you got to cut, you know, different sections and you got to put, and it just was not going well for me at all. But just like that, there's times I'm just going to have to say, okay, I'm going to lay it aside. And then I'm going to have to go do something. Either I pray, and a lot of times I will listen to my gospel music while I'm working on this stuff, because if I don't,
you'll lose your mind.
It is. But as far as the balance, for me, it's just, I have to take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Or I would just go crazy.
And I think too, I think it's very easy to get caught up. So just like in a task like that, and even with the bags that you're making for NOIC, it can become the point where if you're getting frustrated, that you're thinking, well, this is not very spiritual anyways, but it is. You know, everything that we do for these ministries is important, down to the minutest little thing. But to remember that, to stay focused on that, when you think that something that you're doing is not, you know, spirit filled, it really is, because it takes all of these things to make it all work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, it's like was it last week? Oh, what day it was. I went up to the ministry building. You know how bad the ministry building was.
I really don't. I hadn't been up
Oh,
there.
well, bless your heart. At least you know that. But anyway, I went up there. They had done, you know, work, and we had a work day or whatever, got some things done or whatever, inventory. And I decided to go up there and clean more to get it ready for our Saturday work days. And I just had myself a time. And I just felt like, you know, I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for the Lord, and I'm doing it for the other people that's going to be coming and helping.
Right.
I was there like 3 hours. Did I pay for it later? I absolutely did. My back, my legs, my knees, my feet, you know what I'm saying? I hurt all over.
Yeah.
But it was just such a joy.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. You know, Josh was like, Mom, I need you to do this now for cricket and for camp or for LifeWise or whatever. Do you care? I don't want to put more on. I'm like, no, Josh, I enjoy doing it. I absolutely love doing it.
Yep.
If I'm not doing something in ministry, I feel like I'm not content.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense or not. Maybe
it does.
Maybe
It
it's
does.
wrong of me to be that.
No, I feel like, and there's always opportunities, and that's one of the things that God has given us here at the church, is to be able, we have the opportunity to be a part of so many different ministries, and we all play a different role in it. So some of the ministries we have a more major role in, and some of the ministries we have less of a role in. So just talking about camp in general, where that's coming up, the first year of camp, I spent my whole camp in the kitchen. I got out for one church service, but that was the first year, and that was us learning how to do things.
Yeah, we knew nothing back then.
We didn't. But as time has gone on, like, I am not involved in the kitchen anymore. I did that for several years, and then Charles and Velvet took that over and doing a great job with that. So, and at just the right time, because we started having grandkids. And I really felt that my major role in that was taking care of them so that our kids could do what they needed to do in the ministry that they were taking a lead role in. And so that's just been a blessing. And I kind of got a little bit, I don't know what I'm doing, you know, but because the kids started growing, and I'm just like, what, you know, what, I don't know what do I do now? What's my
They're
role?
on teams now, so you don't have to watch them throughout the day.
Yeah. I still have Carly Grace.
Yeah.
And then with Tolkien, it's Dawn's taking care of Tolkien, and you know, Jamie's gonna be having a baby. But anyways, God just started reiterating to me, this is what I've called you. This is what I called you to be. And it doesn't sound like a whole spiritual job, but it's important.
Right.
It's important that we're there. It's important that we're taking them to the church service. It's important that we are involving them in anything that we can, because we are building that. We are helping to build that foundation with the kids. And I, for me, like, Sunday school and discipleship are a major thing right now, and LifeWise. But this is what I feel like. This is kind of where I talked about that field. Your first ministry field is your home. that kind of goes along with your grandkids. Like, I felt like God was tapping me on the shoulder saying, like, before discipleship started, but that's the program that we have on Wednesdays for the kids. For a couple of years before that started, I felt like God had tapped me on the shoulder and kept tapping me on the shoulder. If you don't, now I know that I'm not the only one. Don't think that. But he's like, if you don't teach them, who's gonna?
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna teach them about me? And not that their parents weren't going to, not that you weren't going to, but really kind of resonating that with me. If you don't do it, who's gonna do it? And is it important? What is the church going to look like when Kason and Callan are standing up there and they are leading the church, when they're the deacons, when they're the preachers? What is it going to be like when Kari Grace and Juliet are the ones that are singing, the ones that are teaching Sunday school? What is that going to look like? What do you, God asking me, what do you want that to look like? If you were, if you're gone and you're not going to be around.
Where are you going?
Oh, well, you never know. I'm going to heaven. What do you want that to look like? And that really has been the driving force for me for the kids stuff that I'm involved in. And even though I don't play a big part in NOIC itself these days, I do, as far as I'm taking care of the kids while the parents can do what they can do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And really just
That's big.
It is big. And yeah, like driving force. What do you want it to look like? And that goes for the women too. Like, what do you want your church to look like? God's saying to me, where do you want your strength to be? You know what I'm saying? If you need to get these women together and you need to get them binded, you need to get them to be in good fellowship for the church to, like Gary said, the women to be a supporting role for the men who are actually leading the church. That's what we need to be. So that's been the driving force. God's like, what do you want this to look like?
Right.
What do you think I want this to look like?
Yeah.
God's saying. So
Understand.
So balancing, balancing. I work a full-time job.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, there are days where I feel like I'm about ready to lose it. I mean, and I'll be honest, I when you sit there and you think about all that I have to do, and then, you've got this over here to do, and then you got this. Well, then you also have your house to take care of and your husband to take care of.
I'm exhausted just thinking about it.
I mean, just the other day, I'm like, I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just, done with it.
And we do get that way. I don't think, and nobody should really think that, everything that we do everything perfect.
Oh,
and
gosh,
we don't.
no.
We just
Not
do
even
not.
close.
But what's the driving force behind it? What keeps you going? What makes you say, I need to get up and I need to do this because it's important, and it should be God saying to you, this is important,
Right.
and if he's not telling you that something's important, then maybe you're doing it for no, you know what I'm saying? Maybe not that what's going on isn't important, but maybe you don't need to be as big a part in it.
Right.
And there are some hard choices that you have to make in ministry because you don't need, and I hope that the next time when we actually have our guests,
Are we going to have
I
them?
know, we're going to talk about balance and being involved in things when you shouldn't be involved in them and what kind of damage that causes and things like that. But I balance my time. Like there's a lot of things that need to be done. And I started utilizing my Sundays. We record the podcast on Sundays. I started utilizing that for getting some work done that needs to be done. It all pertains to him. I'm focusing on him, whether it has to do with LifeWise or Sunday school or discipleship, trying to get those types of things done. Any tasks that I need to do completed for those during that time because we're here all day on Sunday.
Yeah.
And if we're going to be here all day on Sunday,
And we can't take a nap because there's no place to take one.
I have a couch in mine.
Well, yeah, you do.
But it's
I mean,
right
we
there.
have pews, but I don't
Everybody's
fit.
walking in and out.
Yeah.
Just like Sunday school this morning when I heard the door as I was praying, and I'm just like,
sorry.
But that happens all the time, and I'm really
Yeah.
glad because I think that it's good for people to when they have to run out back or whatever, that they're seeing what's going on in the Sunday school class. I'm glad that they're doing that.
Right.
But This is a ministry-filled church,
Mm-hmm.
and we are ministry-filled women. We are ministry-filled moms, and we are thankful to be doing that. But it is hard. And if you think that you can't take on anything, maybe you work full-time. I don't work full-time.
No.
Maybe you have a husband to take care of. Maybe you have a husband to take care of. Maybe you have kids at home. We have kids at home. Well, I don't.
I don't
I
have
do. I have a
kids.
kid at home, but he's getting ready to move out. He's married and he's getting ready to move out.
I have no kids. Well, I have a big kid at home.
Yep. I have a husband and a kid. Same person. Same person. So if you see me out talking to him, I say talk to my husband over here and talk to my kids. The same person. You can.
Yeah.
And that's what's important, is making sure that you're doing what God wants you to do. And because that's the only way you're going to grow.
Right.
It's the only way, when you get to heaven, what do you want to say? What do you want him to say to you? You want him to say, well done?
Absolutely.
And it's not a partial thing. It's either well done or it's not. I want it to be well done.
Yeah. And when you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, it's just time to just stand still.
Yep.
Pray. And just take a deep breath.
Yep.
If you have to lay it down for the rest of the day, lay it down the rest of the day. Read your Bible. Get a good book. Get in, whatever.
It'll be there waiting for you.
Exactly. Exactly. Promise you. There's your encouragement for the day.
Yeah. So that's kind of like our take on things, and we're just in a different spot. We're hoping to have some younger guests on our next podcast.
They can't say no, so.
They can't say no. We don't let them say no. And they have a different take, because what they're doing with the young kids is far more than what we did with young kids. They're just, it's just the way the church has evolved as far as ministry goes. So yeah, we're excited for them to bear it all. Not really bear it all, but you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Are you ready?
No.
Oh, these are not bad at all. I had to rewrite one because when I'm like, I already asked her that question. These have been wrote since, I was working for you at the time. That's how long ago that's been.
In a while.
I have 5 questions.
Okay.
Are we going to get our guest questions next week?
Oh, we can.
So we can do 6 questions, 3 each.
Yep. Let's do that. They're going to have other questions to answer as far as ministry goes. So we'll just sneak them in. They'll never know.
Okay, perfect. That sounds good. All right. What do you feel is the most underrated Bible story? I don't think we had that question today.
No. Okay. The most underrated Bible story. I would have to say Job. I'm gonna say Job, but I'm also gonna add a disclaimer. Esther. I think Esther, but Job. And I think that one of the reasons why I would say that about Job is because, Callan is 8. And Job
is his
favorite story in the Bible.
Yeah.
And and it has been for a while.
Yeah.
If he can get excited about Job and we don't,
right.
it's not him that's wrong. It's us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would say Job.
I like that. What's your favorite hymn?
When we all get to heaven. It has been my favorite for a very long time. And my favorite part in the hymn is, I think it's either the third or the last verse. I can't remember. Just one glimpse of him in glory will the toils of life repay. Very favorite.
What is your favorite holiday and why? Easter.
Easter. Yeah, you know me. Yes, my favorite is Easter. Now, without Christmas, we couldn't have had Easter.
Right.
But I think that I love teaching about Easter. I mean, to think about what he did for me, I can't get over. Gary says we shouldn't ever get over it. I just can't get over it. But to be able to, especially now where I'm at in life as a grandmother and a Sunday school teacher and LifeWise and discipleship and teaching someone about him and what he did, just there's nothing better than that. There's just
So you remember you asked me the Christmas song that we do?
Yes.
Still believe. I had to listen to it.
yeah.
Yes, I did. I listened to Christmas in April. I think I got through it okay.
Yeah.
I was doing my hair or something that day. I'm like, I'm going to listen to this song.
Yep.
All right. What's your favorite jam song in the car?
My favorite jam
Of
song
course,
in the
it's
car.
Christmas. Or not Christmas. Christian music.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's all I listen to
Yeah,
anyways.
okay.
My favorite jam. Oh, Here These Days. I don't know who sings it. It's a Christian song. It's gonna be a good day. I didn't know Tom liked it. It's kind of like
That sounds familiar.
yeah, it is. It's like it's kind of got a little bit of rap to it, but it's
You're
more
not
of a
gonna sing it
hip
for us?
hoppy. No, I'm not, because that would be bad. That would be really, really bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's really, really bad.
It's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't remember who sings it.
Yeah. And Tom, listen, the man who can't remember words, we're driving in Florida. The windows are down. The top is open. That song comes on and he turns it up and he starts singing it. I'm like,
really?
who are you?
That's when you should have got your video camera out. It took a video. You could have just pretended it was like you were taking of the scenery or something.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, I don't even know who you are anymore.
All right, our last one. Are you ready?
Okay.
Would you rather?
Oh, goodness.
I like the would you rather.
Yeah.
Go skydiving or swim with sharks?
So bad of you to do that. Skydiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm afraid of heights,
Yes, you are.
but I'm more afraid of what I can't see. Grabbing my feet, and I was always
old
afraid of Jaws. I was always afraid of Jaws as
Yeah,
a kid,
that's
and
funny
yeah,
stuff.
the sea scares.
I agree that that's both answers are absolutely
that was-
terrible
it
because
wasn't
I don't
good.
like either one of them.
Why couldn't you say, would you rather swim with sharks or, have to eat banana splits for the...
Oh, what? This was seriously worms. How's that? I would probably eat worms because I don't know if I want to swim with sharks. So.
Yeah, no, me neither. No.
Oh, well. All right.
All right.
That's it. That's all I
it.
got.
Okay, that's all I got.
All right. Until next time. See ya.